Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. So I ran across this article titled 7 Signs of Millionaire Status, How to Know If You're Wealthy. I think if you ask most millionaires if they feel wealthy, their answer would be no. They still feel like they have to keep working and saving and investing and pushing forward. A recent Northwestern Mutual study found that only 32% of American millionaires, those with at least $1 million in investable assets, consider themselves wealthy. This perception is influenced by so many different factors. We have family size, location, stage of life, and if you look at a net worth of $1 million, is it liquid assets or is it tied up in home value? Then we have the idea that if it is liquid assets, this would need to be used to fund a retirement that could potentially last 40 or 50 years, and funding an extended period of time might only provide a modest standard of living. So rather than tying $1 million net worth to a feeling of wealth, maybe let's tweak it a little bit and say that these could be 7 signs that you will one day be a millionaire. The first point they make in this article is about diversifying your portfolio. And on the surface, I 100% agree with this. A diversified portfolio is key to building stable and long-term wealth. But this article goes on to say that diversification goes beyond just stocks and bonds. They say it goes on to include real estate or business ventures and even alternative investments like private equity or art. So let's take a moment to talk about that. Millionaires overwhelmingly own real estate, with 95% owning their primary residence. They're also heavily invested in the stock market. From there, the numbers start to trail off. Only 35% of millionaires are business owners. And when it comes to art, 92% of millionaires don't invest in it. As for private equity and hedge funds, just 1% of millionaires with a net worth between $1 million and $5 million invest in these. So while diversification is important, for most millionaires, it's about real estate and stocks, not exotic investments. These are really important stats to focus on because what we see is that for most people who reach millionaire status, their path was pretty simple. They own their own home and they invest in the stock market. And that's not to say you can't become a millionaire if you're renting. You absolutely can, but the data shows that most millionaires are homeowners. I also think it's worth calling out how often investing gets made to seem more complicated than it actually needs to be, with this idea perpetuated that in order to build real wealth, you need this complicated portfolio where you're investing in art and private equities and other alternative investments. For the everyday millionaire, the real path to wealth has been straightforward: saving and investing consistently in the stock market over decades. No shortcuts, no hidden tricks, just long-term, disciplined habits. And as much as I love entrepreneurship and business ownership, it's not a prerequisite to reaching 7-figure status. You can absolutely invest in your company-sponsored 401k plan and reach millionaire status. The road to wealth is pretty simple, and I like to try and cut through the noise that tries to say that this path has to be overly complex. You can absolutely build a well-diversified portfolio simply using broadly diversified index funds or ETFs. The road to wealth is simple. You just need to stay consistent. The next point is about strategizing financial planning. And while there's a lot of truth to this, I think we need to be careful with this one. Sometimes the belief that you need to have this perfectly formulated strategy mapped out before you even get started investing holds people back. They think, I don't know what I should be doing, so they just do nothing. But the most important thing you can do is simply to get started. Open an account, choose some investments like broadly diversified index funds or ETFs, and put money into it on a regular basis. That one step is critically the most important thing you can do. You don't need to have a fully formulated financial plan just to get started. Once you are saving and investing, then I think it's time to start to map things out a bit. Maybe you want to ask yourself these questions. What age do I want to retire? What kind of lifestyle do I want, and what will that cost? How much do I need to save today in order to make that happen? What accounts will help me get there while minimizing my taxes? What withdrawal strategy makes the most sense for me in retirement? These are all key elements of a good financial plan. But the thing to keep in mind is that you don't have to have the perfect plan today. Your plan will evolve and change over time. The further you are out from retirement, the looser your plan can be. As you get closer to retirement, the more detailed and tighter the plan you should have. But the point is to get started today and refine your plan as you go. Next up, the article says you have an emergency fund. Absolutely, 89% of millionaires have an emergency fund compared to just 60% of the general population. A solid emergency fund is the backbone of a good financial plan. It keeps you from making poor financial decisions when unexpected expenses pop up, and unexpected expenses do pop up. How much should you have? Well, like most things in personal finance, it depends. A good guideline is 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. As you near retirement, maybe you want to beef that up a bit. Maybe you want a year's worth of expenses or even more. This could prevent you from having to withdraw from your portfolio in the event of a market downturn. But the good takeaway is that no matter what your age or what your stage of life, having an emergency fund is always a good plan. Next is having a low debt-to-income ratio. While the exact stats on millionaire debt levels are hard to find, there's definitely truth to this one. 94% of millionaires live on less than they make, and 75% have never carried a credit card balance in their life. Living below your means is essential for building wealth. Your debt-to-income ratio measures how much of your gross monthly income goes towards debt payments. Here's how it breaks down. With a debt-to-income ratio of 35%, this is considered ideal or financially healthy. You have a lot of room in your budget for other expenses that come up. When that ratio gets to 36% to 49%, this is considered adequate, but room for improvement. When your debt-to-income ratio gets to 50%, this is considered risky territory. This is where it can be really hard to handle other expenses beyond debt, and this can put you in a bad position financially. For example, if you have monthly debt payments totaling $2,100, if your gross income is $6,000 per month, your debt-to-income ratio is 35%, which is considered healthy. Now here's the scary part. According to debt.org, the average American carrying debt has a debt-to-income ratio of 85%. Now, sure, you can take that stat with a grain of salt because averages do tend to be skewed, but this is a very risky position to be in, leaving very little room within people's budgets to pay for anything other than debt. And this could explain why so many Americans just feel like they're treading water financially. Next up, you have multiple streams of income. This is 100% true. In fact, you can go as far as to say that building wealth is nearly impossible without multiple streams of income. I think it's important to focus on your primary job first before expanding into other areas. This is where you spend the vast majority of your hours, so do what you can to increase your income at your day job, whether this is increasing your skill set, career growth, changing jobs, maybe advancing your degree, whatever you can do to increase your earnings here, because this is where you're spending your time. But there's no doubt about it. When you're young, your income is your most powerful wealth building tool. But here's where multiple streams of income come into play. Investing your income. When you invest, you're creating future income streams, whether that's through interest, dividends, or withdrawals from your portfolio. For most of us, this is the only realistic way to build wealth. Your money has to be put to work for you. Beyond investing, side hustles or other income streams can absolutely be a great asset. But one of the best ways for a household to build wealth is to simply partner up. If you have two working adults, suddenly you have a dual income household, and that is multiple income streams. And if you're both working to invest, you're building even more income streams. Financial stability comes from not having to rely on one income source, and having the right partner, financially and otherwise, goes a long way to creating security in your life. Next, you're always improving your financial literacy. And for this one, it is a hard yes for me. Financial literacy is a lifelong skill for most of us, and for most of us, it's something we have to actively seek out on our own. Whether we're starting with the very basics like budgeting or investing, or diving into more advanced topics like tax strategies, estate planning, and retirement withdrawals, there's always something new to learn. One of the best things you can do for yourself is dedicate at least 20 minutes a week to learning about a new personal finance skill. It is an essential life skill that will serve you for years and years to come. And even if you're at the point where you're working with a financial advisor, it is still important that you understand the basic nuances, because you never want to hand over full control of your money to someone else, because no one will ever care about your money more than you do. The article wraps up with two key points: spending wisely and giving back. When it comes to lifestyle, it's putting your money towards experiences rather than things and focusing on quality over quantity. Maybe this is buying clothing that's a bit more expensive but lasts for years, as opposed to clothing that is cheaply made and needs to be replaced every handful of months. And it's no surprise that those who build a 7-figure net worth tend to be pretty smart with their spending habits. As for giving back, I think this is something that naturally happens as income and wealth grow. It just feels good to do something meaningful with your money, whether that's helping people you love, supporting causes you care about, or just finding a way to make a real impact. Wealthier people tend to prioritize this not just because they can, but because they get greater fulfillment rather than simply watching the number on a bank account tick upwards. When this article started out, honestly, I was a little bit skeptical because some of these articles tend to overcomplicate the wealth building process. But for this one, the vast majority of its points I thought were correct. The truth is, becoming a millionaire isn't about a secret formula or complex strategies. It's about living below your means, investing consistently, and staying disciplined over time. That's it. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but it works, and if you stick to it, you will get there. And here's the thing, when you do, you probably still won't feel wealthy, because that's the reality for more millionaires. So rather than focusing on this feeling of wealth, why don't you focus on what really matters? Building financial security, creating options for yourself, and designing a life that aligns with your values. At the end of the day, questions like, am I wealthy, are always going to be a moving target. Instead, maybe ask yourself, am I building the life I want? Because that's what real wealth is about. What are your thoughts? Are you on track to building the life you want? Are you on track to one day reach millionaire status? Share your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Once you are saving, investing, I don't want to maximize, minimize. It's annoying. Death levels. You don't want to say that. But at least it wasn't a bug. It was a hair. I was very nervous.